Tonight on SUTV News, President Carter makes the transfer to SHIP an easier process for students.
And students across the country are demanding an end to the use of fossil fuels.
All that and more right now. Thanks for joining us on SUTV News. I'm Callan Cole.
And I'm Nolan Huffman. SHIP and Harrisburg Area Community College have teamed up to sign an articulation agreement making the transition between community college and the Passy University trouble-free. This past week, I sat down with one HAC transfer student to talk about the agreement. Recently, Shippensburg President Lori Carter and HAC Educational Department President John Sanginski signed an articulation agreement that will continue to ensure an absolute transfer of coursework for HAC students looking to transfer to Shippensburg. I talked to a first semester Shippensburg student who was directly affected by the agreement, Haley Williams, and her service dog, Oliver. I asked her, how has the move been so far?
The move was actually really easy. Damian Morales and admissions here made it super easy with helping me out with course equivalencies and everything.
I wanted to know what was the most helpful aspect about how Shippensburg as a university helped her during her transfer.
Other than the admissions office being a huge help, the different offices here, like the housing department and everything, was really helpful because since I have a service dog, it's kind of harder to, move somewhere else that's not a house.
Lastly, I asked, how is the new articulation agreement between HAC and SHIP going to directly impact current and future students?
So this articulation agreement is absolutely awesome, and I think it is going to, I think we're going to see a really big transfer student rate increase at SHIP, as well as degree completion rates at HAC.
It should also be noted that Shippensburg and Reading Area Community College also signed an articulation agreement last Monday. Nolan Huffman reporting with SUTV. SHIP has also signed an articulation agreement with Reading Area Community College, the second agreement SHIP has signed in the past couple weeks. In need of a haircut? Look no further than right here on campus. SUTV's Patrick Ramsdale has more.
Tired of driving home to visit your barber? Well, that's no longer a problem with SHIP Cuts, located right here on campus. Located in the McFeely's Lounge in the Cub, SHIP Cuts is a new on-campus barbershop run by Lance Walker. SHIP Cuts was opened as an affordable barbershop for students, with every haircut costing a maximum of $10. Walker will be the first to admit that he is not the fastest barber, but he prides relationships with his clients more than the speed of the haircut.
I think relationship is more important to me. If I can build those relationships with the time that I have with each person in the chair, I think that's more important to me.
For those of you who may be apprehensive about getting your haircut at SHIP Cuts, Walker encourages you to stop by anyway.
So even if you don't want a haircut, you're definitely welcome in this environment, and to once again engage your fellow students and engage in conversation.
No appointments are necessary, and haircuts are done on a walk-in basis. So if you're looking for a haircut or even a spot to socialize, SHIP Cuts is the place to go.
Thank you, Patrick. SHIP Cuts is open every weekend from 2 to 9 p.m.
This past week, students and adults around the world spoke out about climate change. SUTV's Andrew Hybeck has the story.
150 countries experienced a wake-up call on Friday. Protesters around the world rallied together in hopes of bringing light to climate change. All of this has been brought together by an organization called Climate Strike. The nonprofit was established by young student leaders with the hope to inspire other young activists. Quote, adult generations have promised to stop the climate crisis, but they skip their homework year after year. Climate Strike is a wake-up call to our own generation. End quote. On Friday, protesters gathered in the streets of Paris, D.C., New York, and even on our own campus here at SHIP.
What is on this poster? Nothing! And that's what will be left if we do nothing about climate change. The Earth is dying. And it's our fault.
All of this comes before the 2019 UN Climate Action Summit that happened over the weekend. The UN Summit had many in attendance, including 16-year-old Greta Thunberg, who was an appointed speaker by the UN. Her words left many world leaders speechless.
People are suffering. People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you?
Roughly 60 countries at the summit claim to have plans for achieving net zero emissions by 2050. This is Andrew Hybeck reporting for SUTV.
This strike has become one of many efforts to bring awareness to climate science. With Saturday's football game just 2 days away, one group of SU students are raising money for an amazing cause. Jonathan Kleindinst and his fellow group mates are teaming up with the Seeing Eye in order to raise $5,000 to hopefully give the name Raider to a Seeing Eye puppy. The Seeing Eye is a nonprofit organization with over 17,000 partnerships across the country that are dedicated to providing seeing eye dogs to individuals that are blind. Kleindinst's group will be fundraising at the game on Saturday with puppy volunteers, one of many opportunities for students to donate to Kleindinst's fundraiser. More fundraising events are sure to be coming next month, so stay tuned to SUTV News for more updates. And to make a direct donation to the Seeing Eye, go to seeingeye.org.
All this week, students are taking their pledge to prevent hazing. According to hazingprevention.org, 2 in 5 students say they are aware of hazing taking place on their campus. Members of Greek Life have been in the Cubs sponsoring a banter, signing and posting on social media using the hashtag #TheseHandsDon'tHaze. SHIP also sponsored guest speaker Kathleen Shapenko, the Associate Director of Student Conduct at Penn State University. Shapenko says she wants to open a conversation with students on the different types of hazing and how to find, report, and prevent it from affecting their future.
Because hazing is something that potentially has happened in high school, happens in college, but also happens in other areas in the workforce and in the future. And so hopefully they'll have some educational opportunities that are takeaways that are personal, but also opportunities for change within their organizations here.
SHIP also hosted open forums all week with faculty and staff. A famous Capitol monument has reopened. SUTV's Allison Klein has the story.
First Lady Melania Trump helped open the Washington Monument after an almost 3-year closure Thursday. She was joined by a group of local 4th graders to cut the ribbon on the renovated landmark. The iconic 500-foot obelisk has been under construction since an earthquake damaged it in 2011. The world's tallest freestanding masonry structure was closed entirely in 2016 to complete the renovations. The new experience includes an elevator with video screens and a technologically advanced visitor center. Mrs. Trump took the first ceremonial ride up, which now takes only 70 seconds. Allison Klein, SUTV News.
The Washington Monument joins the Lincoln Memorial, Thomas Jefferson Memorial, and many more throughout the Washington Mall.
An American who spent 3 years in a Chinese prison is finally home. SUTV's Allison Klein has the story.
Former All-Star college football player Wendell Brown arrived at Detroit's airport Wednesday morning. He was arrested in China after a bar fight in 2016. He was teaching football there at the time. Brown said he was only defending himself in the fight, but Chinese authorities sentenced him to 4 years in prison. That term finally came to an end.
My heart started beating so fast. I've been waiting on this moment for years. I've dreamt of this moment, and it's finally here.
The State Department and Brown's family were able to get his sentence reduced by a year. Allison Klein, SUTV News.
The State Department and Brown's family were able to get his sentence reduced by a year. Whistleblower warning. According to a complaint released Thursday, a whistleblower claims the president abused his power, and the White House tried to cover it up. Thursday morning, the acting director of national intelligence answered questions about the matter as President Trump faces an impeachment inquiry. Mary Maloney has the highlights from Washington.
As Congress continued its impeachment inquiry, President Trump arrived in Washington and fought back.
What these guys are doing, Democrats are doing to this country, is a disgrace, and it shouldn't be allowed.
A whistleblower claimed President Trump abused the power of the presidency by asking the president of Ukraine to interfere in the 2020 elections and investigate Hunter and Joe Biden. According to a transcript of the call released by the White House, President Trump brought this up and asked for a favor. The president insists he did nothing wrong.
It's another witch hunt. Here we go again.
But the whistleblower's complaint details that White House officials were concerned and attempted to cover up the conversation by locking down the electronic transcript and move it to a secretive server.
This is a cover-up.
The Inspector General of the intelligence community says the whistleblower's claims appear credible and should be of urgent concern. At a contentious hearing on Capitol Hill, the acting director of national intelligence defended the whistleblower.
I think the whistleblower did the right thing. I think he followed the law every step of the way.
But urged an investigation, since the whistleblower is an intelligence official who did not witness any of the allegations in the complaint, but instead heard about it from multiple U.S. government officials.
Right now, all we have is an allegation for secondhand information from a whistleblower.
In Washington, I'm Mary Maloney.
Authorities in Pennsylvania have made an arrest in 3 overdose deaths. Officials say the 3 people died after they were given a white powdered substance thought to be cocaine. 4 others were hospitalized in the incident. Aaron Martin has the latest.
This is where a panic started in the South Side early Sunday morning after 7 overdoses led to 3 deaths. 24 hours later, investigators arrested the man they say is responsible for those deaths. He was taken into custody after a raid at this home on Patterson Street in McKees Rocks. The FBI and Pittsburgh police confirmed Peter Sanchez Montalvo, also known as Carlos, provided the drugs to the victims. The night started at the Insomnia Discotheque Club in Brookline, where the Columbus-based band Viento Alegre performed. Investigators say the band was invited back to a private show at the Southside CityWorks apartments. According to the criminal complaint, quote, they traveled to the apartment and whilst at the party, a male began to pass around suspected cocaine. The surviving victim stated they did a bump of suspected cocaine and people immediately began to drop and suffer adverse effects. 3 of the 7 people who took the drug died, including Rubiel Martinez, who Channel 11 confirmed was a member of the band. By early Monday morning, investigators tracked Montalvo to this house in McKees Rocks, where he was arrested around 3 a.m.
It's very scary because, like I said, there's older people on this street. It's quiet, peaceful, and we want to keep it like that.
Montalvo appeared in federal court this afternoon, where he learned he could face a minimum of 20 years in prison for each of the 7 people who overdosed.
When we come back in world news, China has added a new ship to its military.
And people can now travel to the least visited and most chilly continent on Earth. What's coming up in this week's edition of The Slate? Breanne Shekels has more.
Coming up in The Slate on Tuesday, we will cover the Red Raider football team as they aim for their first win at home during Parents' Weekend. Other stories include a feature on the new communication journalism professor Dr. Chado Patai and coverage of Hazing Prevention Week. Read the staff opinion column The Slate Speaks, which revolves around the question, should a child be the face of the climate change movement? Be sure to pick up the next edition of The Slate in newsstands on and off campus or at theslateonline.com.
A large fire has broken out in northern France.
Brady Fisher has this week's world news. Brady?
A huge fire broke today at a chemical factory in Normandy, France. Around 130 firefighters are tackling the large fire. Schools and nurseries in 13 nearby towns have been closed, according to local authorities. As thick black clouds of smoke billowed from the factory, residents of the city complained of an oily residue being found on the streets and cars. There are no reported victims. China's military got a big boost Wednesday with its first amphibious assault ship. The massive ship was unveiled in Shanghai yesterday, according to the military's English language website. It is designed for both island and coastal assaults. Analysts say the launch is yet another indication of China's growing military might. The U.S. and Japanese navies also operate amphibious assault ships in the Pacific. Eastern Indonesia was struck early Thursday by a 6.5 magnitude earthquake, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. The epicenter occurred off Indonesia's Maluku Islands around 8:46 a.m. local time. Video shot by a resident nearby shows damage to a house. No tsunami warnings were issued. If you're looking for a cool new job, this will do it. The government of New Zealand is looking for a construction partner to work in Antarctica. You heard that right. They want people who can lead the redevelopment of its research headquarters there for a 2-year project. Antarctica is the most remote place on Earth. It is also the coldest, driest, and windiest continent, but if you're up for it, you may want to apply. You can register your interest on the Government Electronic Tender Service website until October 23rd. Candidates will be flown to Antarctica in February to experience the continent firsthand. That's it for this week's World News. Back to you guys at the desk.
When we come back in entertainment, a royal surprise in Africa.
And the controversy revolving around the upcoming Joker film. You know, I was walking home from class today and, I felt a couple raindrops. It was kind of nice, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but it didn't really cool down much.
Well, hopefully it'll stay like that. Let's take it with you, Weibel, with this week's weather.
This week officially marks the beginning of fall, but looking at this week's forecast, it seems like summer never truly left. Tonight, we have a low of 55 and partly cloudy skies. Tomorrow, mostly sunny with a high of 79. Taking a look at the 5-day, temperatures are expected to linger in the high 80s, with showers and thunderstorms popping up on Saturday and Monday. We get a break from the heat on Monday with a high of 77, but with a blistering high of 92 on Wednesday, it's only a short one. Now, we're not in sweater weather quite yet, but fingers crossed we'll be there soon. That's all for weather. Let's send it to Brandon with entertainment.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are on an African tour, and baby Archie steals the limelight on day 3. Visiting with Archbishop Desmond Tutu, the 4-month-old appeared in an eco-conscious outfit. The Archbishop then gave Archie an illustrated book about his childhood in South Africa. During the tour, Harry and Meghan split to do their separate meetings. The Duchess remained in South Africa for her first solo engagement. She talked to women in business and visited a charity training women with HIV. The 71st Primetime Emmy Awards celebrated both newer television shows on the rise and classic series saying goodbye. David Daniel has a look at Sunday night's big awards show.
I find writing really, really hard and really painful.
Nevertheless, Fleabag creator and star Phoebe Waller-Bridge won her first Emmy for writing, then another for lead actress in a comedy series.
I find acting really hard and really painful.
And then returned to the stage when Fleabag won Outstanding Comedy Series.
But this is just getting ridiculous.
First-time winners in the drama category included Ozark's Julia Garner for supporting actress and Jason Bateman for directing, Jodie Comer, lead actress for Killing Eve, and Billy Porter, lead actor for Pose.
We as artists are the people that get to change the molecular structure of the hearts and minds of the people who live on this planet.
In the limited series or movie category, Michelle Williams won her first Emmy, lead actress for Fosse Verdon, and Jarrell Jerome received a standing ovation as he accepted the lead actor trophy for When They See Us.
This is for the men that we know as the Exonerated Five.
Standing ovations also went to 2 shows that said goodbye, Game of Thrones and Veep.
I was told I would be up here alone.
No Emmys for Veep Sunday night, but Game of Thrones won a pair. Peter Dinklage won his 4th supporting actor trophy.
We literally walked through fire and ice for you, literally. And I would do it all again in a heartbeat.
And for the 4th and final time, the show was named Outstanding Drama Series.
I can't believe we finished it. I can't believe we did it. We did it all together, and it's over.
In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Stay tuned this weekend for the Mid-Atlantic Emmy Awards, live streamed through Twitter on Saturday evening. A trailer for the Frozen sequel was released this past Monday. The movie will follow the journey of Anna, Queen Elsa, Kristoff, and Olaf searching for the origins of Elsa's powers. As kids, the sisters' parents told them about an enchanted forest. This sequel has a lot more action. They must battle a mysterious storm, massive ocean waves, a variety of monsters, and many other forces threatening the characters and their home. Frozen 2 is set to release in theaters November 22nd. The Warner Brothers movie Joker debuts in theaters in 1 week. It tells the story of Arthur Fleck, a failed comedian who resorts to increasingly psychotic behavior against society while becoming the iconic criminal we all know. This retelling of the classic villain's tale has already sparked controversy for what some see as its glorification of excessive violence. In particular, family members of those killed in 2012's mass shooting in Aurora, Colorado, are worried that this film could incite similar crimes. That shooting took place in a movie theater during a showing of The Dark Knight Rises, a film which, much like Joker, was based on the Batman comic books. Tina Marie Kuhn, a relative of one of the victims, asked Warner Brothers to actively lobby for gun reform. She says that while the filmmakers have a right to create and distribute the movie, they should use their platform to encourage gun control. In a statement, Warner Brothers responded that they have supported stricter gun legislation and said one of the functions of storytelling is to provoke difficult conversations around complex issues. The film's director, Todd Phillips, later said that the far left is to blame for the concerns around the movie. He stated that outrage is a commodity and that the movie's critics sound to him like those on the political far right. The film's star, Joaquin Phoenix, has defended Joker and said in an interview that most people are able to tell right from wrong for themselves. Joker opens in theaters October 4th. That's it for entertainment. Back to you guys.
When we come back in sports, football looks for their first win of the season.
We have more after the break.
The Shippensburg Raiders took on the Cal U Vulcans on the road this past weekend. Redshirt freshman quarterback Max Deviney got the start for the Raiders for his first time in the college career. Deviney threw a touchdown pass of one of his 30 completions and threw for 283 yards. Winston Eubanks had himself a good game, catching 12 passes for 123 yards, including a big catch to set up a fourth quarter Raider touchdown. Eubanks has tallied his third straight game of over 100 yards receiving for the Raiders. Eubanks' 100-yard game was 12th of his career. Despite these numbers, the Raiders fall, losing 58-7. Shippensburg will be looking for its first win at home this weekend as they take on Bloomsburg during Parents' Weekend. On Wednesday afternoon, women's soccer returned to the winning board with a 4-0 shutout against Shepherd. The Raiders netted one goal in the first half off of the head of junior Casey Bell. But they didn't stop there. Ship would go on to score 3 more goals in the final 16 minutes of the game. Junior goalkeeper Delaney Shiflett was also credited with a save in posting her 3rd shutout of the season. Shippensburg will host Kutztown this Saturday at home. Kickoff is at 1:30. In men's soccer, Ship tied Shepherd 2-2 last night in a highly offensive battle. Ship had a whopping 16 shots on goal, Shepherd coming in behind with 9 shots. The Raiders found themselves in trouble late in the second half until sophomore Julian Horseman scored with only 40 seconds on the clock. The Raiders will have a week off and then return to the field next Wednesday in a showdown against East Stroudsburg. That's all for sports. Let's send it back to the desk.
When we come back, a special needs athlete scores a big win.
Stay tuned. Teams battling for victory on the gridiron put rivalries aside and came together for an amazing and heartwarming moment. Jeremy Roth has the amazing story.
Watch a student athlete with cerebral palsy score an unforgettable touchdown in Missouri. Smith Cotton High School senior PJ Allred was selected as team captain for the game. The team's coach says Allred participates in multiple sports, and even though his body has limitations, his heart and attitude set a gold standard. He was put in on the final play and ran 80 yards to score. The coach of the opposing team, which won the game, said the moment outweighed the victory.
To see the entire sideline run and sprint, even our cheerleaders, the actual win was meaningless at that point. The fact that PJ got that moment and that everyone could celebrate, that was the most important thing.
You know, Nolan, I'm glad we're ending on a positive note tonight.
You know, I always love to see that kind of stuff. It really warms my heart. It's like, you know, it makes a lot of people feel special.
Absolutely.
You know?
That's it for SUTV News. I'm Nolan Huffman.
And I'm Callan Cole. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at SUTV News, and check out our website, sutvnews.org.
We'll see you next week.